Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Friday, the 14th of November. Poor prices. Kent's vets react to proposals to help lower bills for pet owners.
With the CMA, the biggest factor is that they haven't solved the problem. All they've done is they've moved the money from one place to another, and the people that were getting the money are still getting the money. It's not going to make medicine any cheaper. It's not going to make practices any cheaper.
System-wide strikes. Resident doctors have begun a 5-day walkout across Kent and England in a dispute over pay. And royal recognition. Herne Bay Food Bank receives King's Award for volunteers' efforts.
It's very special because we put a lot of hours in, a lot of time, and it's nice to actually get something back.
We give the waste to the people in need. We are that bridge.
But for our top story this evening, vet practices in Kent are speaking out over proposals by the Competition and Markets Authority to overhaul the industry in a bid to reduce costs for pet owners. The draft reforms would force vets to publish price lists, give written prescriptions and clarify when a practice is part of a large chain. Smaller, family-run clinics say they already practice transparency and animal-first care, but warn that changes may inadvertently favour big national groups. Well, to tell us more about this, Chloe Brewster has this report.
Whether you're an animal lover or prefer a fur-free home, I think we can all agree prices for everything have risen. But for the more than 10 million households in the UK that own a pet, the increasing costs have become all the more apparent. Vet bills have risen more than 60% in 10 years, with 80% of owners saying the cost of having their pet has increased. In response, the Competition and Markets Authority have proposed 21 new measures for the industry.
The CMA's recent report found that vet bills have risen way above inflation. They've come up with a couple of solutions to try and keep prices low for consumers.
Measures the CMA have proposed include capping prescriptions at £16, requiring vets to provide itemised bills, and encouraging owners to shop online for medicines rather than paying the prices in store.
But here at Broadway Vets in Herne Bay, they say the answer just isn't that simple.
They haven't fixed the problem, which is where we get our drugs from. In some areas of Europe, I think actually most of Europe, they get their drugs direct from the provider of the drug. In the UK, we have to buy from a wholesaler. So at every stage that product is touched by someone else, there's a markup on it. And every time there's a markup, by the time it gets to that end user, that price has gone up 2, 3, 4 times. I think it's really important that people understand what they're paying for. And I think the most important thing for us is that once we've had that conversation with how much that procedure costs, whatever it is, that we can have that dialogue with the customer and that we can interact on what the next steps are.
Not only are the measures aimed at reducing prices, they also hope to make them much clearer from the outset.
We're really supportive of the remedies in the report around transparency. I think it's really important for pet owners to know when they go into a practice who owns that practice, whether it's part of a large group or not. And I think that's really important. There are some remedies in there which are common practice already across the sector, such as providing people with itemised bills and written estimates before treatment is undertaken. There are some practices that aren't doing that, which is why the CMA have included it in their provisional remedies. This investigation has highlighted a lot of press pieces around the veterinary sector that can sometimes feel a bit hostile to the people working on the ground who don't control the prices and just want what's best for people's pets.
These measures are provisional, with final reforms to be decided in March. While opinions are mixed in industry, we're sure pet owners are hoping for an improvement with the poor prices. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Herne Bay.
And from today, thousands of resident doctors are striking across England, including Kent, all surrounding pay. NHS England assures patients should still be able to attend appointments through redeployment and offering overtime to consultants, other doctors and non-British Medical Association doctors. Dr Jack Fletcher, chair of the BMA Resident Doctors Committee, insists that this decision has not come out of the blue and conditions have continued to worsen due to a system-wide failure. Well, Dr Julian Spinks joins me now with more. So, Julian, what exactly are these system-wide failures that are present within the NHS that affects doctors?
There's a lot of factors that are still in there which are causing problems. It can be something as simple as not enough chairs for doctors to sit down on so they can work. There's talk about doctors sitting on bins to try and do work. There's problems with the estates, so the actual buildings and the amount of rooms and things you can do. There's understaffing in some areas as well. And all of that contributes to an overall problem. And as far as junior doctors are concerned, one of the biggest things is that a lot of them are facing unemployment or problems moving up their career ladder. They can be doing 2 or 3 years and then suddenly being told, no, there's no further training you can have because there's not enough places. So all of that contributes to the problems that are building up.
I see, and we've got flu season coming up around the corner. Do you think these strikes are really going to hit patients hard?
I think for emergencies, all the way through the strike, there's been cover provided. And ultimately, if a hospital is in real trouble, then they can apply to the BMA and people will actually go back in and work. The bigger impact is on routine care. And this time round, the message went out from the centre that hospitals should try and provide virtually all the routine care they do normally, whereas before they were cancelling it. And that's why fewer people are going to have that thing where they get a phone call saying, sorry, your appointment's cancelled or you can't be admitted. And in fact, if people haven't heard anything like that over these next 5 days, then they should still go in because the likelihood is their appointment will still be there.
And it's not just resident doctors, it's also health consultants and other people within that sphere. Do you think that that speaks to the kind of levels of frustration across all levels of the NHS?
Yes, slightly different disputes in the sense of the junior doctors are going for asking for significantly more money. In the case of the consultants, it's actually about 1 to 1.5% more than the offer they've got. So it's not breaking the bank, but they're concerned because actually the offer they're getting is barely inflationary. And so what's happening is they're starting to fall back. The junior doctors, they're facing really quite a significant drop, even with the good pay rise they got last year, compared with 10, 15 years ago.
I see. And with the majority of resident doctors voting against strike actions, do you think that shows kind of any major divisions within BMA?
I think it's not that they voted against. It was the combination of people who voted against and the people who didn't vote or weren't BMA members means that actually a minority of resident doctors have voted for strike. It'd be interesting to see at the end of these 5 days to see what percentage of the total resident doctors did strike, because clearly if it's a very low number, then the impact of the strike is going to be lower, and that's not going to be good for the BMA.
I see. Well, thank you so much for bringing us all this latest news, Julian. Next, the Lenham-based firm Sheds and Shelters is facing a backlash after a series of complaints about unfinished orders and the poor quality of completed work. Gary and Michelle Ward say they've spent their life savings of £20,000 on an outbuilding 2 years ago, only for the structure to collapse due to what they describe as shoddy workmanship. A number of frustrated customers gathered outside the company's headquarters demanding answers before police were called to disperse the crowd. By the following day, the business had entered insolvency and ceased trading. Director Angela Rotherham has apologised, blaming financial issues for the company's collapse. Now, remember, each Friday we have a new episode of the Kent Politics Show, looking at all the major developments from the past week. Here's a quick teaser of the show.
Welcome back to the Kent Politics Show on KMTV. Now, Reform has admitted it faces difficult decisions to cope with the spiralling cost of adult social care in Kent. Spending was £50 million over budget this year. But Reform is also fighting for its credibility in a week which has seen its leader branded Captain Chaos by firefighters. That came after the party sacked 5 councillors who sat on the Kent Fire Authority, leaving it briefly unable to function. And Harry, this is very much in your area of expertise at KCC. I wonder whether you can just explain the adult social care budget. Why is that so complex? Where is that money going and why does it so often run over budget?
Okay, the situation with regard to KCC's revenue, its total revenue budget is £1.5 billion per annum. At the moment, around 47%, rising towards 50% now of that budget goes on adult social services, So the current situation means that there was a budget set. It was set in February of this year. And currently, the budget is being exceeded after 3 months at 30 million, and currently the latest estimate on the total overage is over £50 million overspent. the position is one of demand, but it's also within reform. In particular, reform have not been able to bring the degree of expertise brought by the previous administration in being able to hold down the budgets.
This is not just about a relationship with the media, it's about a relationship with the public, isn't it? If you refuse to speak to journalists anymore, and, you know, I should say at this point, we asked Reform, as we do every week, to come onto the show. They haven't come on, and an open invitation at any point if they want to. But if you stop talking to journalists, then effectively you stop talking to the public, don't you?
We have a much more complicated media system than we used to, but traditional media plays a really important role. There are loads and loads of residents across the country. I know many in my ward in Faversham who are not digitally accessing news. They're not on social media. They do get their news from local TV, local radio, local newspapers. And if politicians refuse to speak to those people, we're cutting off a huge segment of our society who deserve to be engaged just as much as those people who are scrolling on Twitter or X.
You can check out the full show on our website for all of Kent's political news. But for now, it is time for a short break. Coming up after that break, we'll talk to an Ashford landlord. We'll find out about an Ashford landlord who uses a 5-figure sum monthly at the Grade 2 listed John Wallace pub. We'll take a look at our sports roundup, including our local Kent cricket team and how they've been doing. Singer Ella Eyre will guest on KMFM's The Hit List, and she's discussed her latest album. And as always, we'll have a look at the weather for the upcoming days. We'll have all that and more after this short break. See you in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Come on, where else? Now, our Kent Police and Crime Commissioner Matthew Scott will not be continuing in his post after 2028. Yesterday, the government announced it would be scrapping PCCs in England and Wales. Ministers say the system has failed and that ending roles in 2028 will save £100 million, enough to fund 320 extra officers a year. Matthew Scott has pledged to continue to work hard until the end of his posting. To discuss this more, Megan Shaw joins me in the studio now. So what exactly was the announcement made by the government yesterday?
As you mentioned before, the government are scrapping police and crime commissioners in England and Wales in 2028. So those 37 roles across England and Wales will go, and their powers will be kind of given to mayors. In the absence of mayors, they'll be given to council leaders. Police and crime commissioners were brought in 12 years ago to supposedly improve police accountability, and they're responsible for things like setting budgets and appointing chief constables.
Right, and what's the main motivator for the government to actually do this?
Well, why they were brought in to improve the efficiency of the police force and, again, that accountability there, the government are wanting to remove, and what they call in their own words, unnecessary bureaucracy. So public awareness of PCCs is quite low. So according to the Home Office, 2 in 5 people don't know they exist. Very few people can name their local PCC. It's been said that this will save over £100 million by the end of Parliament in 2029. That's quite significant savings, especially seen as that residents in Kent saw council tax increases to be able to accommodate these PCCs. And the money would allow £20 million of investment to go into policing each year. So as you said, that is enough for 320 constables. So that's, you know, significant savings there.
Absolutely. We haven't got much time left. Very quickly, what criticism has there been?
So the Home Secretary, Shaban Mahmood, says it was a failed experiment. The Home Office have said that last elections in 2024 cost over £87 million. So this is quite an expensive kind of initiative, especially if the Home Secretary is saying it's failed. Some people aren't quite sure it was very effective either.
I see. Thank you so much for bringing us this news, Megan. Now, next, we'll be bringing you news about Kent County Council. They say nothing is off the table, and that includes the possible closure of tip and library services in attempts to cut costs. The council say every part of the budget is being examined, with household waste and recycling centres and 99 libraries under fresh review. Opposition councillors say this marks a return of the controversial proposals they thought had been shelved, sparking fears of increased fly tipping and loss of vital community hubs. And with a look to the weekend's action, here's Jude Moulton with the sport.
It's a game for the neutrals this Saturday as Gillingham take on League 2 possession kings Crawley Town at Priestfield. While Crawley dwell in the bottom half of League 2, the Gills boss, Gareth Ainsworth, cautions fans and players to not judge the visitors on their league standing. In an interview, the Gills boss decides to show respect to his upcoming opposition, stating that he expects that they are going to come at us, and further added that there's definitely going to be some goals. The visitors do have the highest average possession in the league this season and rank higher than the Gills on touches in the opposition box and shots on target, even matching their 21.8 expected goals this season. But with the Gills' higher league position, they will feel confident going into the game this weekend. On to some cricket now, and England's opener and Kent County's own Zach Crawley had an impressive display on the second morning of the Ashes warm-up against England Lions in Perth. Alongside his batting partner Ben Duckett, the pair managed to score 182 runs before they received their first wicket, with Crawley scoring 82 of those from 101 balls. This result is a massive boost for the team's upcoming Ashes campaign that starts next week on the 21st of November. In an absolutely thrilling contest, Medway Women Rugby Club narrowly lose at home to Jersey 29-27 on their return to the NC1 South East action. Medway looked to have complete control in the first half of the game, decimating Jersey to have a 22-5 lead when going into the break. However, revitalised and filled with determination, Jersey come back with a brand new intensity, while Medway's confidence and hold on the game begun to slip completely. Medway look to go back to their winning ways in their next fixture against Portsmouth Valkyries on the 23rd of November. And that's it for your sports news today. Jude Moulton for KMTV.
Next, singer Ella Eyre has opened up on KMFM's The Hit List about her long-awaited comeback and the decade of challenges behind her new album. The Brit Award-winning artist revealed how vocal surgery in 2020 forced her to reassess her career, and now she's relishing being independent and creating music on her own terms. Several singles are already out, and she's launching a candlelit UK tour this December, showcasing the new era of her music. You can catch the full interview on the KMFM official YouTube channel, but for now, here's a small segment.
Actually, the album was called something else for about 2 years.
What was it called?
It was called Exactly As I Am.
Oh, different.
Well, because I felt like when I was making the album, it was about accepting myself and learning to love myself, and I felt like it was a really important thing for me to go through and do. But by the time that I finished the record, I felt like I'd been through that process, and actually the one thing I'd learned is that I needed to learn patience and peace in the process.
And I know that Jess Glynn had vocal surgery in her career. I didn't know that you had vocal surgery.
Well, when I first came about, it was quite a taboo subject, but actually you'll find that a lot of commercial artists have had vocal issues and vocal surgeries, and back in the day you wouldn't talk about it because you'd be worried about promoters not booking you because you're not reliable. But I think it's a very difficult space to be in, to not be honest about what you're going through and experiencing. And I have a naturally husky voice. It's naturally unique, and unfortunately that does come with its challenges, but it's also a blessing at the same time.
Now, Myers Community Food Bank helps those in Herne Bay who might be struggling to afford food, clothes or other essentials, and they've been recognised with the King's Award for Volunteers. It's like an MBE for the entire charity and celebrates the efforts of the volunteer staff above all else. I went down to their warehouse in Herne Bay to find out more. Myers Community Support Centre in Herne Bay looked a little different this morning. They were sporting royal colours after being crowned with a King's Award for Voluntary Service, a national way of recognising charities and their volunteers. The food bank has been open for 3 years and makes sure people can access food, clothing and other basic essentials if they're struggling. It's been a long road to this, but how did the charity get on the royal radar in the first place?
They came to us and they researched all our services, and what they said is, you are like an all-inclusive holiday. You have everything. That's what judges say. It's literally all-inclusive service. Whatever people need, we have it. And it's all from waste. We reduce massive amounts of waste. We are the bridge between people in need and a waste. We reduce a lot of carbon offset. Carbon offset is one of the main topics, and poverty. We give the waste to the people in need. We are that bridge.
Now, Myers has been going as a charity for about 3 years, and during that time it's been helping the community here in Herne Bay, and it's also been winning awards. But what makes this award particularly special isn't just the fact that it comes from the King, but also that it highlights the efforts of their volunteers as well.
Well, we've got a whole team of volunteers. Some you see, some you don't. We've got people who work behind the scenes. We've got people who are going out collecting every night, rain or shine, winter or summer, collecting food from the supermarkets, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and then they are making sure that people get that food and it doesn't go into landfill. So today is a combination of all that anticipation, and so it's really lovely to recognise our volunteers.
The award is essentially an MBE for volunteers who give their time to the cause without payment or, normally, much recognition for their efforts.
It's very special. It's very special because we put a lot of hours in, a lot of time, and it's nice to actually get something back.
Well, we work so hard, like 9 till 3. It's just absolutely amazing.
With volunteers and everything we do, it kind of helps everything run as it should.
The award is quite rare. Only 0.03% of charities in the country ever receive it, and it's the highest honour they can get. Once Myers volunteers had their coronation, they celebrated with music and a feast fit for kings. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Herne Bay. Now it's time to take a quick look at the weather for the coming days. Tonight we can expect to see a cloudy evening across the county and temperatures peaking at 14 in Dover. Tomorrow morning brings cloudy skies with sunny spells all over Kent and temperatures as low as 12 in Medway and Tunbridge Wells. Up to 14 in Dartford there. Into the afternoon, highs of 14 and 15 across the county. Wind speeds heading to the southwest at 6 miles per hour. And on Sunday, we can expect the same temperatures, but accompanied by rain. Towards the beginning of next week, things are much cooler. Highs of 9 on Monday and 7 on Sunday. And just before you go, we've got time to bring you news that former KMTV intern and presenter Joy Anokuru has won the coveted TikTok Rising Star Award. The journalist turned content creator who goes by the handle Dose of Joy covers everything in the world of entertainment, interviewing celebrities like Cynthia Erivo, Margot Robbie and Tom Cruise. She said the award means everything to her and that her family group chat was definitely popping off. Well, congratulations to Joy. You've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV. There's more news made just for Kent throughout the